Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to introduce you to our next guest, Ryan Pineda. He's a founder and entrepreneur, a podcast host of so many different companies. So I'll have you start and tell us about all the different companies you have.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a serial entrepreneur my whole life, and I've probably founded, 20 companies at this point in the last decade. I wish I'd start buying them because it'd be a lot easier than getting the plane off the ground. But I would say my main ones right now are, and it's weird to say this, I have a golf company I just started a year ago that's on pace for 8 figures of revenue in its first year.
Wow.
And so I'm really excited about that. That's called M19. And then I have a tax firm. We're building and scaling that. It's called Taylor Tax. And so got hundreds of clients all over the country. Still invest in real estate, still teach people real estate. Then we have a big media company with the podcast and everything else. So a lot of things cooking.
What's your favorite? I'm guessing the golf.
Same thing.
It's not that hard to figure out. Yeah. Tax or golfing at bucket list trips. Yeah.
Which one of the companies would you say, my favorite thing to say is to grow, scale, and exit. Out of all the companies you have, which would you say is the easiest to scale and to be able to eventually exit?
Well, it's funny. I would say the easiest would be M19. Like I said, we're about to finish year one, and this will be our first full calendar year in 2026, and I think we'll hit 8 figures this calendar year. So if you look at the growth, and it's a recurring revenue business, and it's got really high end clients that are desirable to a strategic buyer, I would say it's the easiest. But the tax firm is the one where I'm like, we are absolutely building this to sell, and we want to sell this thing in the next 5 years and get a good multiple.
So, obviously that many people are coming into M19 that it's attractive, right? They're getting a lot of people that they find out about it. So if somebody wanted to find out more about it, can they go to the website and they get more
it's
information?
just mastermind19.com.
Tell us a little bit about it. How does it work?
What are they going to get?
Yeah, I'll tell you the business model. So basically, I started doing this 5 years ago. I started golfing 5 years ago because I actually had this idea similar to one of the businesses that you guys have on your broker side, where I was like, I bet you people would pay money to golf with me. Like just being a social media guy and stuff. I was like, I would pay tens of thousands of dollars to golf with people like I looked up to. I was like, let's just try it out. And so I tested it on Instagram. I was like, hey, it's $2,500 if somebody wants to play around. 20 people bought it in one day. I was like, I underpriced it. And so the price went up. It was $5,000, then it was $10,000. And so I made a few $100,000 over the years just randomly doing it for fun. Then I was like, let's start doing trips. And so we started to do a couple of golf trips. I did one trip a year for 2 years, 24 and 25, and made 6 figures doing the trips. And I was like, this is so cool. I'm going on amazing trips and getting paid to do it. It was like a side hustle. And after the last trip, we had about 16 people there, and they were like, dude, we need to do this more. We need more trips. I want to hang out. How do we stay in touch and all this? And I was like, man, I need to figure out how to make this not about me anymore, because right now it's like golf with Ryan.
Right.
And make it just about, man, we have such high caliber people here that people just want to join so they can golf with each other. They can play locally together all the time. And I just thought of it like a network. I'm like, if I build this big enough network, the bigger it gets, the better it gets. Because if we have a lot of members in Florida or Vegas or whatever, the moment you join, it's like, dude, I have 20, 30 people I can just golf with right now. I have access to every private club in America. And then we have trips every month that I can just choose to go on or not. And so that became my model. Since then, in less than a year, we've got almost 500 members. The current model as it stands today, and it could go up, is they pay $10,000 to join in year one, $5,000 a year to renew. Those are their dues. And then they just pay per trip that they want to go on. So it's totally a la carte. Hey, this week we're going to Torrey Pines in San Diego. If you want to come, it's $5,000. Everything's included: food, drink, golf, everything.
Well, one of the things, we have this company we just put on the market. It's $30 million. Yep. It's all about golf. And one of the things you said, which I'm really trying to kind of put this mindset into other people's minds, is like people who are entrepreneurs, they've always kind of thought, okay, I've just got to start the business myself. And I think that, like we said, the amount of liftoff that it takes to start a business is so difficult that if we changed our mindset, all of us, to go, okay, I don't have to start it. I can buy one and then take it and tweak it and make it where I want it to go. But like with this $30 million business that we have you ever thought about doing something where you added to your business? It's just coming up to me, where it's not just because people want to meet you, but maybe they have a football legacy that they want, or because that's exactly what that $30 million business is. might be something to explore.
Yeah, 100%. And I think to your point too, I don't know how they grew it or how they got their customers or any of these things, but I know we're really good at digital marketing and customer acquisition. And so
I see a lot of your marketing.
So even if we were to do something, I'm sure we could grow it in ways that they weren't.
Yes.
And take it even further.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some of the mistakes that you've made in business, because everyone grows from hearing other people's mistakes. If you had to redo some things in any of your businesses, you could pick any of them, what would be some of the things you would do differently today?
I've had so many mistakes in my career, so it's hard to pick just a couple in a short period of time. I could do a whole podcast about each single mistake. But I think the biggest mistake I made, I'll give you two. One was being over leveraged. And I think a lot of companies fall into that. And I think, in 2022, when the real estate market turned, I had probably $20 million of hard money loans out on house flips and private money and other stuff. And, the market turned and, I'm paying $200,000 a month in interest payments and things aren't selling and things are going over budget and, all this stuff. And it just depleted cash every month like crazy. Quick. And then, when I went to sell them, the value's down too. And so I'm having to come out of pocket to close deals now to get my loans paid off. And it was a brutal lesson. I lost millions of dollars from it. And, I'm proud to say I paid back all my investors, but man, it was a very tough lesson about, and like I built my career being leveraged. I started flipping houses with no money, maxing out credit cards, taking on debt. And that's what you got to do when you start. But I think also there's a time where it's like, in hindsight, I didn't need to do that. I could have stopped doing that and just focused on wholesaling or whatever that was way less risky. But because I had other businesses that were making more money, and yet I had this massive risk with all this debt and everything else, and I just didn't think twice about it. So I think it was carelessness. So that was one. And then I would say another lesson I learned was just having the right partner. We talked about this on my show. It's like, you guys are great partners. You guys are married, successful as a marriage, as a business, and all this stuff. And I've had partners that weren't so great. And I don't blame them. I don't, I take accountability for everything. I chose to be partners with certain people and get into these types of different businesses. And it turns out like, man, it is hard if you pick the wrong partner, you pick the wrong industry, and you get into a business that you realize isn't what you thought it was. It's tough.
So what would you do differently? Like if you were going to pick a new partner, another business that you were going to go into, what would you do to make sure that partner was right? Yeah,
I think biblically speaking, you have to be equally yoked.
That's right.
And I didn't realize that at the time. I thought that only applied to marriage, but I think being equally yoked applies to business as well. And it's like, man, today all my partnerships are with other strong believers and we have the same goals. And even when we have a disagreement, because I've already had businesses that haven't worked out with strong believers, but man, the breakup was totally good. It was just like, hey, all good. This isn't going the way we had hoped. It's all good. Like, you do this, I'll do it. The easiest thing ever. Just because of being equally yoked.
Do you think it's easier and faster to grow with partners or without partners?
It depends, right? Because you got the wrong partner, you'll go negative. So if you got the right partner, then it's going to be way easier because they're going to complement your weakness.
So let's talk about scaling, because you've done such a great job on scaling your businesses and you have really done great in that sector. Tell me what kind of advice you would tell people on these are some of the things that I've done to scale my businesses, and as specific as possible.
Yeah, I think at this point I've scaled 5 different companies in 5 different industries to 8 figures or more. And I mean, in hindsight, I would have probably been better off just focusing on one thing. But I think the reason we've been able to scale things is because we're just really good at acquiring customers. Like at the end of the day, I just know how to market, what marketing channel. Like, okay, so I'll give you guys my framework for marketing. I call it the 4 Ps. So first P is product. Okay, what is my product? The second P is person. Who's the person that buys my product? The third P is platform. Where's that person at? Are they on Facebook? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on whatever, right? And then the fourth P is problem. What are the problems that they have?
That is good.
And so what I do is I make content or ads about those problems that person has on the platform they're at that my product solves.
Yes, that's good.
So if I'm just using the golf business, M19, what are some problems that our members have that they may not even realize they have before they join? Well, a problem is they can't get any of their buddies to, come on trips with them or anything else because maybe they're just not making enough money, their buddies or whatever. Nobody can get on the same page about times, locations, scheduling. Entrepreneurs just don't want to do that, right? And so we say, look, are you somebody who wants to golf with other 7, 8, 9-figure entrepreneurs and go on the best bucket list trips in the world? And like, all you got to do is just say yes. And you're going to be with 40 other people to network, grow, and everything. Everyone's hands like, dude, that's me. Right. And I'm making these ads and this content where those people are. And I'm like, well, dude, I have a product for that. We've solved it. We have hundreds of members all over the world and we do these trips every month. They're like, bro, this is a no-brainer because I'm solving their problem. Right. So I think for me, any product I sell, it could be golf, it could be tax, it could be real estate, it could be coaching, it could be anything. I just always think about that framework.
So what made you get into tax? Because it doesn't even seem like you, right?
Yeah. So I've actually gotten into tax twice now. The first time was in end of 2019, early 2020. My first firm I founded, I just kind of got one of my accountants or my CPA at the time. He's working for a Big 4 firm. And, he's just a normal W-2 guy, but he was doing some work on the side. And I just said, dude, people keep asking me about who my accountant is. Like, let's just start something. I'm just a young entrepreneur. It's like, whatever.
So y'all started from scratch?
We started from zero.
Okay.
And he's like, let's do it. And so I go, how much do you need to quit your job? And it was, like 50, 60 grand a year. I'm like, dude, we could easily get you that. Like, I'll take no money. Like, you can make the first 50, 60 grand to get paid enough, and then we'll start taking distributions and whatever. I just want to get my taxes done free and, it pay for itself. Well, I think within 3 years, we scaled the firm to like $2.5, $3 million a year with 0 ads. It was just all my organic from, all my other businesses I was running, like my events and coaching and social media and all this stuff. And so, it was a very profitable business. And then, we just didn't see eye to eye on where to take things from there. And so I had him buy me out. So that was actually probably my first successful exit.
That way.
Yeah. And, after that, I just said, okay, I'm done with tax, whatever, no big deal. So I sat out for a couple of years building other businesses. And then one of my one-on-one clients, his name's Greg, I helped him grow his tax firm from 400 grand. When he first joined my program in real estate, he joined because he thought he was going to give up tax and do real estate. He was doing tax on the side and making like 40 grand a year. Then from everything he learned in my real estate coaching, he applied it to tax and he grew it to 400 grand.
Using
and he
that
bought
framework.
real estate.
Was he using the 4 Ps framework?
Pretty much, and just like how we hired people and delegate and all that stuff, because I talk about it for real estate. So then he hired me for one-on-one, which is not cheap, and we helped him grow from 400 to $1 million a year. And then, he's getting ready for his renewal, and I'm like, bro, honestly, I think if you just let me run it and do the sales and marketing and everything and my brand, it'll scale way faster. And we're both believers, and we talked about it, and, we decided to go into partnership together. And so that was more of a, whatever they call it, sweat equity deal. We did that in October of last year. So we're coming up on a year, but this month we should probably we'll do like 250 grand this month. And so it's like a $3 million run rate. I think we could probably in the year $4 or $5 million run rate. And I'm just running the same playbook I've always run.
So you run the marketing side. He runs the day-to-day?
Marketing and sales I run, and he runs day-to-day, yeah.
So I will give one piece of advice on something you just said, and that is about to decide if you're going to do a partnership. So I know for me, at one point I decided to do a software company.
Okay.
And I actually have my degree in math and I have my minor in computer science, but you could not get me to code something if my life depended on it.
Right.
But if I was going to suggest something to someone, I would not create a company that you didn't know anything about unless I had a partner that had equity to do it. So like, for example, with taxes, if you're not a CPA, nothing about taxes, you've got to have a partnership. If you're going to create a software company, nothing about coding, you've got to have a partner in that situation. So that would be my piece of advice. But I want you to really expand on the marketing piece because that is your strength. That's my strength too. I love to talk about it. Talk about how you've really monetized YouTube and really taken that platform by scale.
Yeah, the way I look at marketing is twofold, right? You have paid and organic. And you used to run into two camps where it was one or the other. And so I started off organic, and I started making YouTube videos back in 2020. And my YouTube took off quick. I mean, in 2020, I had 0 subscribers. We went to 75,000 subs in a year. And then, since then I've gotten...
And what do you think got that 75,000? Like, what was it?
We talked about it on my show. I think it was a combo of two things. One is perfect timing in the Lord's favor. In 2020, we're in COVID. And so everybody's at their home watching these videos. It was the perfect time to get on YouTube.
It was a good time to make them too, for you.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It was the perfect time for me to get on YouTube and start putting out content. Perfect time. You could not have timed it better. You start today, it's way harder than it was then. More competition. People aren't glued to their phones like they were back then. So great timing and favor. And then number 2, I just got mentors. I hired the right people. Like, I just knew that it was a good play as an entrepreneur. And I couldn't understand why more entrepreneurs weren't taking it seriously. I just thought it was great for business and exposure and brand. And so I hired editors, I hired coaches, and they taught me everything I needed to know about, hey, what kind of videos work? Titles, thumbnails, how to structure a video so people stay on, click-through rates, retention rates. So I learned everything organically. From that, all I did was organic marketing on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok for probably 3-4 years. And, we did tens of millions in revenue across everything I was doing organically, no ads. Then I realized there was this other half of the game we were missing because all my paid ad buddies who just didn't really have good personal brands but had been running ads and traffic for so long, they were starting to ask me like, hey, how do we build personal brands? Like, we'll teach you ads and all this stuff. And they're like, bro, your ads would kill it if you just ran ads. And I'm like, okay, I don't really know how. Teach me. Same deal. I hire the best. Get these guys on my team, mentors, actual people implementing them. And we learn to run ads at a high level. And so now we do them both in tandem. I mean, I spend multiple 6 figures a month on just ads. Wow. My media team, you guys got to see some of them. I have a big media team. We have multiple sets. We have everything on the media and ad buying side for all platforms here. And so basically, I feel like that's my engine for whatever product we want to do.
I love it. One thing you said about being highly favored, I just read a really cool verse in the Bible that just hit me, and it was talking about Mary, and it was said that she was highly favored and troubled. And so I think that every one of us can get to a place where, yes, we are highly favored, but then alongside of that would be some trouble. So I want you to talk about some things that maybe God has done in your life that maybe has been hard that you want to share to kind of encourage people.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like that verse with Mary, she's troubled because all of a sudden she's pregnant and people think that, she's been unfaithful and she's going to have to get a divorce and be shunned from society. And it's like, she had to go through a lot. And then it took Joseph to go through a lot to, basically believe her and to, raise the savior of the world. Like, that's a very hard thing to do. And I think like if I look back in my career, God has blessed me with a lot of talent and opportunity. It's like the parable of the talents. Like I feel like God gave me
5 talents,
so many different abilities. And sometimes when you have a lot of options, it's hard because you don't really know. You lack discernment on which ones to pursue and use. And so I think that that's been part of it because when you feel like, I said this on my pod, when you feel like you can do anything because you have done, like, I mean, I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but like I've excelled at literally everything I've ever tried. I wanted to be a pro athlete. I became a pro athlete and got drafted. I wanted to be a YouTuber and a podcast. I did that. I wanted to be great at real estate. I bought and sold $100 million of real estate. I wanted to sell out seminars and big events, and we'd have 1,000+ person seminars every quarter. Like it can easily get to your ego and make you feel like, hey, any idea is a good idea because you can make it a good idea and make it work. I can make a bad idea work.
Yeah, because you got the skill set to push it through, the grit, the drive, to figure it out.
And so I would say like the hardest part for me has been learning to say no, has been learning to, listen to the Holy Spirit and see what he's actually telling me to do. What's not a good idea, but what's a God idea, and who's a good partner, who's a bad partner. Just because this opportunity can make money and it doesn't seem like a lot of work doesn't mean it's the right opportunity. So I think it's really just growing in wisdom and discernment, very similar to what Solomon asked for.
Wisdom. I was curious. I want to know, when do you think, or do you think it's a good time for owners to step out of the day-to-day?
It depends on your goals, right? I mean, for me, I'm really good at starting like 7-figure businesses. I've never built a 9-figure business, so like I'm not good at that yet. I built a few 8-figure businesses, but like I'm very good at just getting things off the ground, getting them to a few $1,000,000 and maybe, $1 million a month. And then after that, just kind of being like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah.
But so that brings me to a really good point, because that I really want people to understand that point. So I believe that there's so many entrepreneurs that are so good from the startup to say 1 million, startup to 5 million.
Yep.
That's where their sweet spot is. Once it gets to there, they sometimes self-sabotage, because then they're just over it and they're done. Like they're just like, and then instead of selling it,
they've hit a good level.
yeah, and instead of selling it, they're just kind of like, and they just like let it coast,
Or get
and
bored.
then they get bored, and then they let it drop instead of going, why don't I sell this? Or there's some people that go, they keep trying these new things.
They can't break
and
through.
they're not good at from the ground up.
Oh, yeah.
They're good at, let me buy the business at a $2 million business, or 5 million, or 10 million, and then let me take it from 10 to 30. Then there's people that are good from taking it from 30 to 100.
Right.
Like my mom says, she says, know thyself. You have to figure out, what are you good at? So for answering that question, do you think that you're good at maybe that founding to 10 million, or
I'm very good at getting something, off the ground and to $10 million a year. And, obviously I want to prove to myself that I can do better. I feel like in my entrepreneurial career, I'm pretty young in the grand scheme of things. Like I played baseball until I was 28 years old. I didn't make 6 figures until I was 28. I'm 37 now. Everything I just told you I did, in the last less than a decade. And it's like, maybe I've got what it takes to go to 9 figures. We'll see. Only time will tell. But I think the hardest thing for me is going to be complacency, because, I desire to impact the world in lots of different ways, with our nonprofit. I forgot to mention this, but, a business that I'm starting later this year that I definitely need a partner and an operator for Christian toys. And I know nothing about toys other than like what looks good and what I would buy as a parent, right? But like the point is, Christian toys suck. They're just so bad. There's literally not really anything good. It's kind of like we were talking about Angel Studios earlier. Christian movies and shows sucked for a long time.
Yes.
And then Angel Studios came along and brought, Hollywood quality product to the Christian space. And it's been great for, now to see just high quality Christian films. Hasn't happened in the toy space. You can go on Amazon right now and go search Jesus toys, Christian. They're all just trash. So I don't say that lightly. I just say it as an opportunity that's just out there. And I just said, dude, if nobody's going to do anything about this, I have 4 kids, 7 and under. I'm not going to deal with crappy toys for their whole life. I'm not going to, all those kids out there at the homeschool, why do I have to keep buying all these Marvel toys and all this other stuff?
Disney stuff.
Because there's nothing good for them in the Christian space. I'm like, that is such a major problem. And if no one's going to do anything, then I will. Because I definitely have the ability to go market it.
Well, and then other Christians will want to support it.
Yeah. And, I also look at it as a way to fund our nonprofit and everything else. Like, I don't care. I really don't care to make any money from it. I'll put every dollar we get back into the company to keep growing it and everything else, or to put every dollar back into my nonprofit from, the profit of the toys. Either way, it's just I'm trying to solve a problem, and I don't really have a goal for it of like, let's build this to a 9-figure company or what. Like, I'm just trying to make great toys. So I think like I'm a product purist in everything that I do. And it's like, to me, the product will dictate how large it can really go.
I start running through the process, and I'm like, all right, so you would use AI, have it create whatever the template model is, and then I would go to a Marvel and have them do a licensing agreement where they would create them for you. That'd probably be the cheapest way.
I'll show you guys some. I'll show you some pictures of what we got mocked up after.
You got it.
Oh yeah, we got it all. I mean, it's already in production. Well, you just brought up a good point too about why this is such a. I don't even understand why people haven't done it yet. But like, if I was to go to Marvel and be like, hey, I want to make your toys and put them on my shirts and stuff, I got to pay licensing. The Bible's the best IP in the world, and nobody owns it. I can go produce as many Jesus toys, I don't owe anybody any money or anything. It's the best IP in the world. There's 2 billion Christians in the world who support this IP, and yet nobody does anything with it.
So good. Well, I want to talk about being a husband, and I think my husband is the best husband out there, of course. But
Yep.
I know that I got to meet your wife, and she
thinks I'm the best.
She thinks you're the best.
not wrong. Not wrong.
So you tell me some of the things that you've implemented, like family wise,
Yeah.
to make you husband of the year. Kind
Yeah,
of
she
award.
did get me a trophy in 2019. I haven't got one since. I don't know why, but I got a trophy in 2019. It's in my office. But, I think it just comes with standards. Just like everything in life, you want to build a great culture, it comes from your standards and your core values. My wife and I are in regular communication about, hey, what are our standards for each other as parents, as spouses, and all of those things. And her love language is quality time. And so for me, it's like, how do I, make her feel loved? I give her quality time. Man, that's the most expensive thing I can give, as an entrepreneur. If it was gifts, it'd be like way easier. But, so I said, like, what does it look like to have quality time with me? If you were to define it, what would make you feel loved and all of those things? And it was like, well, we decided early that I wasn't going to work weekends. And so everything we built to this point, I don't work weekends, even from zero. It was something we decided a long time ago. Kind of like Chick-fil-A said, we ain't working Sundays, and they've prospered, some would say in spite of that or because of that, right? Mm-hmm. Another thing is I leave the office every day at 5. I just work 9 to 5 here, and that's it. And I get done whatever I get done. And it's actually forced me to be better as an entrepreneur because I'm like, look, I have these big lofty goals, but I have this very short amount of time to get it done. So I'm going to have to delegate. I'm going to have to hire people. I'm going to have to learn to be better if I want to hit my goals. That's right. So, yeah, I think for her and I, it's about time. And so I just carved out the time that, she wants. And, recently, I used to not travel that much, believe it or not, for business, because everyone always comes to me in Vegas. So it's makes it very easy. I threw all my events here in Vegas. We have a workshop space. So I haven't had to travel too much, but now, with M19, I travel a lot and it's grown way faster than either of us thought. And so I've been gone about once a month on these trips. And so we had to have another conversation about hey, this business is really important. It's growing so fast, and it could be something this could be $100 million, maybe $1 billion business if we do it right. But at the same time, I want to honor my commitment as a father and as a husband. So what are we comfortable with? Because next year we could have an event every 2 weeks, and I'm not going to be away that much, And so we decided that once a month is the limit. And so what do I have to do as a business owner? Do I stop doing trips? No. I just hire other people to go on the trips for me, and I build the business in a way that supports that standard that I've committed as a husband. And I think those same standards apply to my kids and everything else too. If I'm home, I'm with them.
I love it. I want to ask you to give some more tips on marketing because everyone knows you for marketing. You are the guru of marketing. What else for businesses right now? Because one of the things I'm hearing entrepreneurs with them saying is look, 4 years ago, we were crushing it on Facebook and, we were crushing it on Instagram. And now, different things changing, everything is moving. So if someone was coming to you and saying, look, I was doing a great job a few years ago. I feel like I'm hitting a wall right now. What are things that are changing in marketing that are holding these businesses back from being able to grow? What would that be for you?
It's funny. I forgot to mention one of our newer businesses. We launched this about 90 days ago.
He's like, oh, and by the way, another business.
Yeah, I forgot we did this. It's called Pineda Partners. And so we actually will do marketing and sales for businesses. Once again, I'm a product guy. And so I see flaws in the market. I see to your point, hey, how do I market? I'm plateaued, I'm stuck, and all this stuff. The typical response would be, okay, well, here's a marketing agency we use. They can go run your ads for you and stuff. What I have found is that there's this massive disconnect between marketing and sales. Okay, you'll go hire an agency, and then if it doesn't perform, the salespeople will say, well, the leads suck. It's not our fault. You're giving us crappy leads, right? And then the marketing agency will say, no, our cost per lead's good. Look, they filled out this form. Your sales team sucks. Yeah. So there's always a disconnect. And part of the problem too with the disconnect is if you have separate teams, you never actually get true feedback for the marketing to fix it. Internally, we do everything in-house. And so I literally hear firsthand, hey, how's the marketing performing? with our salespeople, and they will give me feedback that I can trust because we have an open and honest line of communication. And I can make changes to the copy, to the ads, to the page, everything. And so it makes it very successful because there's a clear communication and we also know the standard of, we know we're really good marketers. And if I know I have really good salespeople, something like it has to work. Mm-hmm. If the marketing and sales aren't working, then it means the offer's the problem. We got to change that. But long story short, I kept hearing that problem so often that I was like, you know what? It used to be, hey, you got to give me equity in your company if we're going to go do this.
We talked about that too.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people who don't want to do that. And finally, I just said, you know what? We'll just do it on a rev share. Like, if you don't want to give equity.
On EBITDA.
Yeah. Well, no, we actually do it we do a retainer plus a percentage of gross profit. Because I don't want to deal with their books and all this other stuff. That's their problem.
So give me a practical example of like someone you've done it for.
Yeah. So a practical example, we started this 90 days ago. We have probably 12 clients right now. The average, some are just launching, so we won't use those. But people we've been working with, most of them are already at 100,000 plus a month. And this usually only works with consultants or service type businesses where honestly, if you're that small, you probably don't have a ton of employees anyway for this type of deal. But basically we take 25% of revenue and we use that to pay the sales team, the marketing team, et cetera. And so like in my industry, I'm gonna pay my sales guys usually about 15% all in for a high ticket sale, whether it be real estate deal, whether it be selling M19 or tax or whatever, right? And so that leaves us a delta of about 10% as a company. Then they pay us a small retainer too for the marketing services, and we'll do their landing pages, we'll do their ads, we'll do literally everything. All they have to do is
using Go High Level?
Yeah.
Or
we use GHL to manage it all for them and build everything out. Yeah, basically that's the offer. And so like to me, it's pretty simple, honestly. Like if we get, say, 30 clients doing an average of 100K, which we'd want more, but let's, easy numbers, that's $3 million, 25%'s $750K, plus the retainers, we'll be close to $1 million a month in that model. I mean, the demand far outpaces our ability to fulfill. And so we can be very picky with the clients. And
I was getting ready to ask, so do you have to qualify? Because when I was thinking of what you were talking about with the marketing and sales, I see that argument all the time. And usually what I've done anytime we go into a new company is I go, I'm doing it first. I'm going to market it. You said the same thing with the golf. You marketed the $2,500 and then you fulfilled it. And I'm like, all right, if I can market and fulfill it and there's a sale, then I can fill somebody in the lane and it really doesn't matter. I'm going to pay them to scale this up and I'm going to pay them to scale that up.
Yep. So that's literally all we do. And we don't take equity. It's just a revenue split. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's all good. Everybody's on their way. And I think it's a very sticky business because if we control the marketing and sales and it's going good, I mean, what are you going to do if you give us up, right?
So does that mean that's like the number one thing you would say stops any business from growing would be marketing and sales?
Yeah, I mean, if you can't sell people, then you don't have a business.
So if they're plateaued, they reach out to you, they get their marketing and their sales pretty much on autopilot to keep growing, and they can take it from
I mean, we're still going to need them to do stuff, depending on the funnel, right? I mean, I need them to film ads if they're the face. They're not using my face. This is their company.
Check it out.
Yeah. And then, if we're going to go build a funnel around something that requires, like maybe a webinar funnel or something, it's like, okay, well, we're going to script out your webinar and make the slides and everything else too. But, you're going to have to perform the webinar, and we may have to do this every week until you get it right and we can make it recorded. But yeah, so there's still some effort on their end, but they're just getting our expertise and everything else. But let me just say this, right? Regardless of whether you use us or not, because most people aren't going to qualify to use us anyways. Maybe they're too small or they can't afford the ad spend or whatever else. But I would just say if somebody's plateaued and they need help with marketing, man, you got to understand just the normal basic metrics of customer acquisition cost, lifetime value. Like if you don't know these things, like you can't market effectively. People are just throwing money in like, oh, did I get a sale? It's like, no, like I have a target with every customer of like, hey, here's our expected CAC. All right. Does the offer even make sense to make this profitable from the beginning? Because you're used to just selling organically where you have no CAC and you just are like, oh, well, I'm like, no, this $2,000 offer will not work when in the paid ads game. It is just too expensive to run ads. And so we got to change it.
I watch people in that space, like almost in any business when we're looking at it, with us doing the business brokering stuff, even as it tied to real estate, people would run an ad, they'd have $1,000 to get a customer, but then they were selling them. So they had a $7,000 commission and they paid $1,000. They weren't thinking all the way through, like, hey, I'm making $6,000. I'm like, but you're doing the work to get the 6,000. That will have a challenge when you go to now bring on more people, and you have to have enough margin.
And you got to figure these guys probably don't sell as good as you as the owner, and so
you'll have less.
Your conversion rate's going to drop and your CAC's going to go up, and so you got to factor all these things in.
Well, let's give everyone one final piece of advice that maybe you've gotten in the last year that you would say, you know, someone gave me this piece of advice to help me grow my business, and it really changed my business and the way I did it. What kind of advice would you leave everyone with?
I would say you've kind of echoed it today, and somebody else said it on my podcast, but basically it's like, are you the right person to take this company from where it needs to be going forward? And if you're not, you've got to either develop the skills and white knuckle it and figure it out, or you need to sell, or you need to bring a partner on who can. Because like, you know, even with M19, it's growing faster than ever. And I'm like, okay, like, man, this could be the biggest thing I've ever done, you know? And I'm talking to a guy who's built 9-figure businesses. He's like, this should absolutely be a 9-figure business.
It's exciting to know that that's the potential for it.
Yeah, like the TAM is massive. The demand for golf is massive. The wind is at our back with golf. It's getting more popular. It's recurring revenue, so I don't got to keep acquiring customers starting over every year.
And more people are going to tell as they get in. They'll tell more
people. Referrals will keep increasing.
Yeah.
Our churn should be ultra low. Like everything about it makes it so that it should. Well, it does have that potential. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, well, I've never done that, you know? And man, if we get to 20 million a year next year and it's net and crazy margins, like it's going to be hard for me to like really want to push it because I'll be making a lot. And, you know, we won't know until it's a good problem to have and the bridge crosses. But I just was thinking, I'm like, because then he was talking about, well, if you really want to take it to $1 billion company, you could do these globally, right? You could be acquiring customers in all these countries. They golf everywhere. Golf is not just a U.S. thing.
Right.
It is a worldwide thing, and this works everywhere in the world. But you're going to have to go global and get in different languages and get different operating partners and all the. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
right?
The friction.
Yeah, and he's like, and I'm like, I don't want to do that.
But who do you know that could? Who
and
could
he goes,
you hire that would?
I get that you don't want to do it, but that is an absolute disservice to this business and what it can become. You need to either sell it or get somebody who can, because that's what should happen for this business. And it made me think about it.
Yeah.
So good. Well, thank you so much for being on today.
Yeah,
and you guys stay tuned. We've got another episode coming up in just a few. Bye-bye for now.
Peace.